Hello, welcome back. So we're going to cover a couple things today. The first thing we're going to do is I'm going to quickly show you how to change the navigation bars and the menus and their location in the GUI. Um, I realized that when I was showing you how to change the transparency, I didn't actually show you how to change the alignment. So I've gone ahead and done that. I'm just going to switch over here and I'm going to show you where to do that. The second thing we're going to cover today is I'm going to show you all about spells. And then I believe that will pretty much cover everything I need to in the intersect engine. So if we go into resources, then in resources there's a folder called GUI, Graphic User Interface. And in there is all the bars and boxes and stuff. You can see here the chat box. It's grayer looking. I've changed the transparency on it already. You can do the same on these other windows if you want to as you customize them. There's the background I've replaced. But what we want to do is we want to go into this layout folder. And in here we have game, menu, shared, debug. We're going into the game, and these are JSON files. And again, like I showed you with configuring the config for the server in the very first video and the second video, you can change the configuration for the menus and the GUI. So if you look down here, chat box window, you open this up and you can see the bounding box for it, the padding, which is how far away from the edges of the border and stuff it sits, alignment distances from the edge, so 4004. So that means it's 4 in from the left, it would be 4 in from the right, 0 from the top, 0 from the bottom from any other menus or any other borders. I believe that's what that is, although it could be the margins could also be that. So you can play around with that. Render color, but this is the one right here I want to show you. Alignments, bottom left. So the bottom, the bottom, the center, or the top is always the first entry, and then the left, the center, or the right is the second entry. So by changing this around, we could change its location on the screen. So I wanted to show you one with its default. Then I want to show you one that I changed, which would be the hotbar. So if we go down here to the hotbar window, we can see that I have changed to the right and to the bottom. So it was already aligned right and to the top. So all I've done is change it to the bottom. I had started by changing that to the center, but I found that it bumped into the menu bar too much. It was too long, and I didn't want to shorten it. You could go in and shorten it down from 10 spots to 6 spots or to whatever you want on the hotbar. You could make the hotbar only 4 spots. It's up to you. I wanted to just leave it at 10 for convenience, to not change too much. So what I did then was I went to the the menu container. And so in the menu container, what I've done is I've changed that alignment from right bottom to right top. So I've basically just switched the places. And so what I'm going to show you now is I'm going to open up the client here. Go up one. Up one. Run the client. Pardon the music, it's always loud. And I'm going to change. You can see the menus at the top now, and the hotbar is at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I am going to change my settings. Video, change that, 1280-76, apply. There you go. Now you can see the distance a little better. So with the lower resolutions, like with this resolution, you could probably easily have both of these on the bottom. Wouldn't be an issue. But with the lower resolutions, like if you're playing on a laptop or something, or an older laptop, those are going to step on top of each other. So it's just best to have one at the top, one at the bottom. And I'm kind of partial to my menu at the top. It's it kind of back in the early days of mmorgs, they used to have them on the top. I got quite used to it. I liked it, so that's what I'm doing. And then I'm just having my hotbar bottom left. I did try taking the chat bar and moving it up here, but I found that it was just too much in my face. It is less in my face at the bottom left, so that's where I'm leaving it. I could take the deity bar and put it in that top corner and move the menu down in between here maybe, and then there's less up top in my way. A guy could do that. However, well, let's just try that. Let's just see. Resources, GUI, layouts, menu. So we're gonna go into, oh sorry, not menu, back, game. Then we're gonna go down here to menu bar, and if I can find the menu bar, menu container. And what we're gonna do is, instead of right top, we're going to go center, bottom, file, save, close that down, and then we want to find our player box, and what we're going to do is, it's top left, we're going to just change it to top right here. File, save, exit, exit, menu, log out, log back in, and it didn't change it. So I think I have to quit the editor altogether. Alright, so quit the editor altogether. Sorry, the client altogether. And there we go. So now I've also got this overlay problem, right? So what I need to do, hit escape, settings, video, there we go. So I had to hit escape to go into the video settings and change the video resolution. But there, now that's actually pretty good for my preferences in gameplay. My character is up here with my information bar, my inventory and all of that. Menu bar is down here in the center, and my hot bar is over here to the left. Now I should probably change that, put the hot bar in the middle and put the menu bar over here, because then I've got access to the menu without hitting escape for the lower resolutions or when you first log on. Now I could probably also change in the settings that it always goes to this resolution. Not that many people have a machine that can't run it at this resolution anymore. At least 1024 by 786 or 68, whatever it is. But anyway, I don't need to really worry about that right now. But what I am going to show you is, now we're going to talk about spells. So what I have here is my Kelty 3 running around, and I'm going to hit this spell. And you can see that little blast shot across. That little blast. I just damaged the cow. Cow's not dead yet. Unfortunately, I don't have other areas built. The cow can kind of cross out of scene, but I can't. Well, that's all right. And then I also have this one, which is a heal spell. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I created those over here in the editor. So to go into the game editor, the first thing you need to do is you need to, and we've gone over this before, so I'm not going to do it here in front of you, but you need to set up a new animation. So what I've done is I have a new animation set up here. I'll just play it. for my heal spell. It is playing on the lower layer, but I'm rendering it above the player, and it is just a healing animation. It's 14 frames across by 1 vertical frame tall, 14 frame count, and you could change how fast or how slow it plays. It's just a red cross animation. There's better ones out there. This one came stock. I just used it. I could make a better one myself, but I just wanted to do that for the tutorial purposes so you could see. So that is that cross plane. And what it is set up to simply do is it is just an animation. Then I also have set up a fireball. I'll play it. You can see it's just a crackling fireball. And it's actually not playing exactly how I like. It's traveling across the screen, and it's not... I have to play around more with that as they travel and how they look when they travel. I did all right on the arrow. It kind of looks good, but it's still not perfect. So I've got a little more learning on that. And I think it's just drawing out, figuring out the rotation, figuring out the spawn point for it, and setting up the graphic, the time, like how long it's going to play for. So I'm going to just actually try changing that to 1,000. Save. We're going to come back into the client here, and I'm just going to, I don't know how I got in the top corner again, and I'm just going to fire that from my hotbar here. It looked a little better. Crossing the whole screen though, and it's only got a range of 6, so I don't know what that's about. And I'll show you the animation again for my heal. So what that does is adds 10 points to me, and the other one does damage as it hits. So I'll go back in here again, and now so we've set up the animations for each. Then you go into the projectile editor, and you just create another projectile like you did for the arrow in the projectile lesson. And I've set that to spawn here, although I think I want to set it to spawn maybe here. And knockback, collision spell. I don't have a collision spell because the spell itself does damage to the opponent. Although you could just have it a projectile. So if you had an exploding arrow, that's where you would use collision spell, because then you'd have like a explosion spell or something, and then it would run that spell that did damage. Spawn range 1-to-1. Animation fireball. I'm just gonna save it like that. All right, then you can open the spell editor. Once you have an animation set up and a projectile set up, and that projectile uses the animation of the fireball. Did I show you that? Let me just cancel out. Game editor, projectile editor. We go down here to fireball, and you can see over here the animation is that fireball animation we set up. So that's why you set up your animation first, then your projectile, and then you go in to the spawn. So, or into the spell, sorry. So then now we open the spell editor. So in the spell editor, in defensive, I'll show you the heal spell first. So set the icon, which is what showed up in my spell list, which I then dragged into my hotbar. And it is a heal. It's in the defensive folder. I created 2 separate folders, and it just uses this heal JPEG, and in the description I said heals the player. Cast animation, heal spell. So that's why you want that animation set up ahead of time, so that you can actually cast it. There is no hit animation because this isn't one that, I mean, you could do sparkles or something. You could do whatever you want, right? And get as carried away as you really want. I don't have a cannot cast message or casting requirements, but you could say casting requires level 2 skill, or casting requires mana equals X amount. So there's things like that, right? Like if a person's, if you give through the leveling, if you give an extra couple of mana each point, you might say, hey, you can cast the spell, but you need to have a mana of at least 10 in order to cast the spell. Or you need to have a magic power attack skill of this before you can cast the spell. Or you might say you can only cast the spell if you have the sacred gem of Kaluthu in your possession. And that might be an item that you create, and you might have to go and craft it or something, or you might have to have a druid staff in order to cast any magic. So, you know, all these sorts of things you can set up if you want to. But down here, we set the target as self. I've set a cast time of 250 and a cooldown time of 250. But I should actually set that cooldown time of 1000, cast time of 500. Just because it should be a little slower to cast. So spell cost. So this is when you cast that spell, what's it going to cost you? So no hit point cost, because you could have like black magic or necromancer spells or whatever you want. Or say you were doing a psychic abilities, and maybe those take a hit on you and physically tax you. So they might cost you some hit points, right? Or in this case, I'm just using mana. I'm using the default stuff here. So it costs 4 mana to cast this healing spell every time you cast it. Ignore global cooldown, ignore cooldown reduction. I don't have anything in there. I haven't played around with those, so I'm not sure how those really work. But I've just allowed cooldown 1000 milliseconds. Okay. Down here, damage. This is where healing spells, you do minus. So it's self-targeted up here, but you could target it on simple target. You could do area of effect. You could do linear, like a projectile, so you shoot it at somebody. On hit, trap, whatever, right? But this is just a self-healing spell. Simple. And we're coming down here, and it minuses 10 damage. So it costs you 4 mana to heal by 10 points. That's a pretty good exchange. Doesn't do any mana damage, doesn't heal your mana. Of course, we don't want it to because it's taking your mana. And I just left the rest of default, attack scaling, damage scaling. I could change this over to magic resist scaling amount. We'll say 5%. Sure, why not? So what this should do is, because it does minus, maybe it'll scale minus, I don't know. But as your magic resistance goes up, that's kind of like an overall worldly magic in tune with thing, then I'm thinking that then maybe it goes up by 5%. Or maybe by minus 5%, maybe, I don't know. But we'll try it at 5% and see what happens. I mean, that's a trial and error. I don't know exactly which way that would roll, but it's really simple to try with. There's no added effect. There's no critical, well, there's a critical multiplier. But here's where it is heal or damage over time. So this is the thing. So we set the cast time as 500 milliseconds. So that's just to cast the spell. Then it takes 1000 milliseconds before you can cast it again, which should actually be even to the heal over time. So it takes 3000 to heal over time. So basically 3 seconds. So we could make that over 5 seconds and take longer. And you can assign an animation to that if you want. So, you know, like a spinning spiral or something, and it just plays that so you know you're healing. I don't know. My animation already had an effect to it, so I didn't really need to do anything. But, so we've set that up. So now we save that. We save the engine. We go back into the player, and I'm going to try and get this cow to attack me. Click on him, cast. Not hitting him. Come here, cow. There, hit him. And he damaged me. So there we go. So now I'm going to heal. And you can see how that little bar took a little bit of time to heal. But I could, in theory, I could change that as well, right? So I'm not fully healed yet. I'm going to go in Game Editor, Spell Editor, Defensive, heal. And I'm going to come all the way down. Not with the scroll wheel because I don't want to change anything. Heal over time. 5, 1, 2, 3. Now let's make it more. Let's make it 10, 1, 2, 3. Save. Save the editor. Back into the client. Oh, damn it, cow. There, killed the cow. Alright, new cow spawned right beside me. Let's heal up here. My mana too low? What's going on? Oh, 4. Yeah, I need, there we go, 5. So you see that? My mana got below 4, so I couldn't use the heal button. So now I'll use it again. And there we go. 5 milliseconds to heal. And I healed by 10 points. I only have 3 mana, so I can't cast it again. Oh, 4, and I just cast it again, and now I'm full health again. But my mana is at 0 out of 10. And my regen is really slow on that. So anyway, there you go. I wanted to show you how to set up a spell. Show you that you had to set up a projectile and an animation to go with. And then how to change the time and the time duration over time, or effect over time. So that's all been done. And I've also showed you how to move the GUI around so that you now have your GUIs in other spots on your screen. For whatever reason on my client though, my GUI is sitting up high. It's supposed to be aligned to the bottom. Oh, no, it's not. That's my editor underneath. There we go. There, my everything is proper. That was just me being a little bit of a dummy, having my editor open and the ground was showing below it. So anyway, I hope you've learned a lot. The other things that are in the editor though that I'm not going to show you because I haven't used them are these other two. I think I already showed you the time editor. And what I have is I have my time rate set for 24 times normal time. Intervals are 12-hour days. And so basically what that's going to mean is every hour you're going to go through a 24-hour cycle. That's the idea. I haven't stayed online for an hour to see, but I'm guessing that that's what's going to happen. But the other editors that I haven't shown you is the common event editor. I did try it in one of the other videos, I think briefly to do something, but I think it's just events that you can tie in between multiple things. Like you could create a common event maybe to spawn a craft station or to do a transport between towns or things like that. But I had set this one up for Hawse knife or whatever. It didn't really do what I wanted to do, so I don't think I used it correctly. However, I do believe that you can set up common events and make them as things that need to be done throughout the game and use them over and over again. The other one is the variable editor. And what I believe the variable editor can be used for is I believe you can set up skills with it. And so we'll set up a new player variable and we're going to call this one cast level. And it's just a Boolean. We can set it up as whatever we want. I can just set it up as an integer. And we're just going to set it up as, what are we going to do? We're going to give it, sure, a 1. And save. Player variable, sure. All right. And then I don't believe you will see that anywhere. Like, I don't think you necessarily will see that in your player. So if I pull up my character, I don't believe it's in here. However, I believe what you can do is use them as like skills, and you can have them so that you're you as a requirement. So in order to to learn this spell, you would need to have that variable, that cast level at level 2, 3, 4, whatever. And you can always make certain events up your cast levels or things. So if experience equals this +1 to this or whatever. I haven't played around with that at all, so I don't really want to go on record saying that's exactly how you can use it, but I'm pretty sure that's what that's for. Adding extra things that aren't default in the HUD or in the player events and stuff. So anyway, that's where I'm going to leave this one, and that's where I'm going to wrap up this intersect playlist. So hopefully anyone coming in trying to learn the engine that follows along with these 10 or 11 episodes that I've done here will be able to get up and running in short time and be able to focus on their project. And hopefully I've been able to help people out. Hopefully the things I struggled through a little bit will help you not struggle through them, because you can see kind of where those struggling points are and you can work through them. Hopefully you see a few limitations in the engine, but you also see how incredibly powerful this engine is and what you can do with it. You can see from the artwork in here that I've utilized and made doing my tiles and my tile sets, you can see how you can overcome the basic Japanese ORPG style, and you can use your own style. There are other people out there that have gone full isometric Diablo. You could probably do a voxel style somehow with it. I mean, even if those voxels were still just pixel art, you could probably still do all your modeling and creation and animations in the voxel, like voxel magica or whatever, bring them over. There's lots of things you can do. But speaking of voxels, the next thing I'm probably going to do is a little session on RPG in a box and play around with voxel magica and a few of those things. I wanted to get into that a little bit because ideally down the road what I like to do is 3D. I've already done a full mmorpg, and I might even touch on that with in a 3D engine. Like, I haven't scaled it out. I've just got it up running and all that sort of stuff. Have my own server here, which runs really loud, so it's powered off most of the time, and I don't really work on it that often. I'll probably get back to it, but it's one of those things. I've done that in the Unity engine, so when I touch on the Unity playlist, I'll probably do that. But I want to work on some of these other things because I don't have a heck of a lot of time these days between work and family and life and being the summer season. I'm just trying to cover these ones that I can cover, you know, an hour here, an hour there. Some of the bigger spanning projects and things, I'll need a lot more time to put into it to be able to put out a good playlist for you. So anyway, that's the Intersect playlist. Catch me on the RPG in a box. That'll be the next one. And have a great day.